Sans plus tarder, nous allons avec le dernier sujet de la journée. On va parler de relève. Et ce n'est pas une surprise pour personne, notre domaine n'est pas à prendre en compte. Nous avons également besoin de relève. C'est une ressource qu'il manque. La main-d'œuvre est disponible, mais pas au même rythme que la demande. Alors, de nombreux jeunes ne sont peut-être pas pleinement au courant et conscients des possibilités qu'il y a de carrières passionnantes et gratifiantes dans le domaine de la cybersécurité. La promotion de la diversité et de l'inclusion pourrait peut-être être une piste de solution pour cette pénurie de main-d'œuvre. Mais comment faire pour embarquer les jeunes dans la cybersécurité? Alors, avec mes panélistes ici, nous allons parler de donner l'envie de cyber à toutes les générations et à toutes les communautés. La discussion sera modérée par Maître Frédérique TURNIER-CARON, avocate, et se joint à elle pour la discussion Bianca LOPES, je l'ai eu, Bianca LOPES, cofondatrice de Authentify IT, et Kerissa VARMA, directrice générale cybersécurité pour Vodacom. Mesdames, à vous la discussion.
Hi, ladies. It's really an honor for me to be here tonight. This evening, let's say. I think to inspire the new cyber community, I would be curious to know, like, what brought you to cybersecurity?
Well, I'll go first, and Bianca kindly told me I should tell this story earlier today. I started studying medicine. I did a month of med school. And while I love human beings, I decided I don't like touching sick human beings. So I'd rather touch sick computers. So that's what ended up translating my whole studying from medicine to technology. And I've done basically every single cyber role out there since I started my career to now.
Cool. You should tell that story. I think it's pretty great. My name is Bianca Lopes. Great pronunciation on my Portuguese Brazilian name. It's nice to be back in Canada. I'm an economist, formation, I guess studies. I'm an identity expert. I got pretty obsessed about identifying people and working in the world of biometrics. Started in access control, literally figuring out who was in and out of the buildings and SOC rooms and understanding what CISO jobs were, which was the beginning of this about 15 years ago. I've been since an entrepreneur, have sold a few companies, and today I sit on the UNESCO board for AI and ethics. So looking at how do we look at this technology and the responsibility that we have in the space. And I'm the co-founder of the company name up there, and we're creating identity for physical things. We work with the World Rugby Cup, so we're putting an identity on a ball and then creating channels and stuff. So that's who I am and what I do.
That's pretty nice, and I don't think really amazing your outfit, Bianca. Honestly, I don't think there's a lot of cyber girl being as wild and proud of themselves. Does it help you to grow in your career in a way to be authentic to yourself and to promote yourself through your fashionista?
I think it could hinder you. I think it could promote you. I think it could make people remember you. I think throughout my career, I've had different moments of my authenticity or my comfort level of who I am and how I show up in the world, whether it's the powerful red blazer one wears or powerful blue suit, or whether it's showing up as yourself and something you do. So I think for me, it's been that process of, we talked about it earlier, people will judge a label, that's what we do. That's what we do in cyber, right? We protect, we understand, we detect. Human beings do that. So whether you're gonna do that or not, I'd rather be comfortable and hey, if it's cool to wear frills, I'm gonna wear frills. Or I think part of the industry is understanding that we in this little bubble, right? Beautiful bubble, by the way. But nice humans I've met today. We're protecting the rest of the world. The rest of the world looks a lot different than just the set of humans and identities here. So yeah, it's helped in my career to show up authentically, whether it's through my fashion or not.
Okay, I'll jump to the subject. I was wondering, how the shortage of manpower is affecting you on your daily or in your career, like in your company, for instance?
I'll go first. I think I don't know a single CISO out there that goes, I have all the skills I need, you know. Whenever you speak to any CISO, they're always challenged to find the right people. But equally, there's a lot of talent out there that's looking for cyber roles. There's a lot of people that want to break into cybersecurity. So there's something missing in translation between the demand that we have and the supply. So yes, I think every company out there is feeling skill shortages with regards to cybersecurity, especially deeply technical roles, niche skills in things like IoT, cloud, you know, the ethical hacking and those type of environments. Those type of niche skills are really, really in high demand, but equally there's a lot of people that want to get into the environment, and we're not doing enough to bridge that gap.
And do you want to add like something, Bianca, or is it affecting?
No, I think she's totally right. I've worked for CISOs across the globe and helping them explain their technology strategy, whether it was in data or identity, and inevitably touching roles like you just mentioned. I think the shortage is not only like the silos that we build, because I think a lot of people that are not in this industry that perhaps have other technical skills that are required and important to break biases and to do all sorts of wonderful things you just described. And I think there's also this like misconception in the space around, you know, you're fighting the people that don't follow legislation, that don't follow protocols, that are going to use the latest and greatest technology, that don't care if you have 20 years of experience. So how are you putting yourself out there as an industry to talk about attracting those roles that you talked about? How are you bridging that gap, not only in, you know, the acronyms or how easy or approachable your industry is, but also in just admitting that you maybe don't know all those skills like the CISO. You don't know what you're hiring. Like I've had in numerous conversations, not only about shortage, but about, you know, what kind of team do I need to be building here to be tackling the problems that I'm just not yet too equipped. And then how do I then translate that to explain to my CFO or my CEO or whomever that, by the way, I need more money, I need to hire people, and here's the skills, and I can't find them anywhere, but I swear to you is important. Like, that's also tough.
Okay, well, I mean, that brings me to my other question. I'm volunteer here in cyber, and I've seen a lot of amazing concierge volunteer. It's young student, and there's a lot of foreign student looking for a job. I think it's quite curious to see, like, why do we keep saying there's a shortage of manpower, but then there's those amazing talent looking for a job that are right there in front of us, and like what can justify this gap between the request and the offer, let's say?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, and leading on from my answer earlier about the fact that, you know, we've got so many people looking for work, and so many people hiring for cyber that can't find the skills. The point I wanted to make is that there isn't a one-to-one mapping. You're never going to find 100% fit in every person that you interview. And I wanted to give an example. I mean, I've hired people with no technology background into my team, like zero technology background. I've hired someone who's got a marketing background, studied marketing, you know, did a lot of advertising, etc. I hired that person into one of my awareness teams at a previous role. And the person fundamentally changed how we do cyber awareness, how we engage with staff to tell them what is safe and not safe, because they understand what triggers behavior. And that's a non-technical function. So I think as a cyber industry, I think we need to let go of the fact that every single person coming in through the door needs to have 1 million certifications. You're never going to find the perfect person with 1 million certifications. I think we have to broaden and diversify who we're looking for. And then once we get them in the door, I always hire for potential and attitude instead of, you know, 1 million pieces of paper behind your name. Because if you have the right potential and the right attitude, I can train you to do anything. But, you know, that ability to learn, unlearn, and challenge yourself, that's what I'm looking for. And I think we need more people to look at hiring that way. And that will allow more youngsters, like you're talking about, in different sectors to get into cyber. And cyber is a huge area of demand, a huge area of growth where we just don't have enough skills. So we need to get a diversified workforce.
Bianca, do you want to add something? Yeah, it was amazing. Honestly, your answer was right on point. And regarding that, I'm curious, like, how can we promote the right way to attract the right talent regarding the fact that we don't know exactly what we are looking for based on what you were saying?
Yeah. Do you want to take it or? No, go for it. So it's a really interesting question. I remember being in an interview once, and I was interviewing someone that had some technical acumen, so they weren't like completely non-technical. They'd had some IT background, etc. But what interested me about the person was their history and their background, and I really probe very deeply when I interview people on their background, what roles they've had, their experiences in life. And this person worked in the army, and they were responsible for planning strategic planning of attacks, of planning where the team would go, etc. And I was hiring for someone that would manage incident response. And one of the things the person said to me was, what that role had taught them was to be extremely calm under pressure. And so I think that the inroad for all of us when we're interviewing, when we're looking for talent, is to find that link. Understand what you're looking for in behavior, not necessarily just paperwork. Understand that you're looking for someone that's cool and calm and collected under pressure. And that may be someone that's been planning attacks in an army, may not be someone that's had 50 years worth of cyber incident response training, because there is nobody that's had 50 years worth of cyber incident response training. Cyber's only not been around for that long. So when you're hiring, you have to look at probe for behavior, probe for attitude, not necessarily just the easiest route, which is a tick box.
I think one thing that comes to mind working with organizations is like structuring your organization to be able to deal with the employee relationship differently. I think that relationship has changed dramatically over the years if you look at the gig economy or just, so even that is a door to attract talent, to understand. Your question was around, how do they plan for what they don't know? Or how do they plan for a future of cyber attacks that there is not 50 years of experience? I think how is your organization set out, which is a challenge, and I'm not disputing that, but how is your organization set out to do projects, to do collaborations, to do partnerships? Finding talent in today's world and attracting talent might not look traditionally like, she said great things, but these are pillars about how do you build human relationships and build anybody into any team. You look for who they are and how they respond, and yeah, if they're a doctor, if there's some basic skills maybe they really need and some certifications, but even to deal with the bad computers. But I think it's also that. It's the structure and how you attract, what are you putting it out, and maybe the levers of, motivation need to change.
Do you think like InCyber Forum could be a right place to find the perfect rising star for your future organization? Or do you think it's better to search through LinkedIn? What is the main way to promote and to find those right people? Do you have a point of view on that?
I've had success in different ways of finding the right talent for any dream or crazy idea I've been building or project and pro bono stuff I do in the UNESCO. I think InCyber might be just the right place, and you sound like the perfect volunteer. But I also think, obviously, LinkedIn, relationships, conversations. I think the world's a lot smaller than we give it credit for.
Yeah, I also think a lot more people are willing to help if you just ask. I think so many people are so fearful to just go up to someone and say, I really love what you do. How have you done that? What's been your path? What's been your journey? And if you're at a forum like this and you see someone that you really want to learn from, go up to them, just take 5 minutes. They're going to be grabbing a cup of coffee. It's so easy just to give you 2 minutes of their time just to explain it. And I think that we sort of block ourselves out from fear of engagement, and we rob ourselves of that experience to build a network, to build a community around us. And it's so important to have that community and to have that network that's looking out for you.
On this note, I'm aware that InCyber Forum are promoting to younger generation of new cyber recruit potential. So they try to promote to people from elementary school and high school. And I was wondering, like, is it the right way to do to go to try to make to train or to make people, younger people, aware of cybersecurity threat? Is it the right way to approach this kind of problem?
Dying to jump in here. I've had this conversation in many schools and with my own kids. In terms of just like, how do you not? One of the biggest things I'd love to ask the industry is why the narrative of fear? Like, why? I appreciate the stewardship, the responsibility, the ethical compass that the industry requires. But there's a really big narrative around the fear. Fear, fear, fear. Fear-based things are just traditionally like, this isn't me, this is the doctors, the neuroscientists, the behavioral scientists. You know, it has a fear of blocking. So when you talk about when do we start having the cyber conversation? When do you start having conversations about boundaries with your kids? And that's when the conversations just start. I like, for the industry to be known and for the importance of what you do every day as professionals or as practitioners, and the sort of the encompassing areas like ethics, like marketing, like behavior, like privacy, like things that are, you know, in their own little camps. If you start with kids don't seek camps. You know, we put camps for them. But some camps or some boundaries in the digital world that they're so nascent. Like they're so, like I don't know about who has kids here. You guys still here? Yeah? Yeah, there were children in your life that you've seen, yeah? And the crazy world we all live in, like this, right? If in a good day is one screen, in my life is like 3. And yeah, I think it starts early. And I think the professionals, and then you go into the really tough conversation around, are schools equipped? Is the education system prioritizing this? Do politicians even know what the heck cyber is? Or are they just like telling people that this is a tax and privacy is about sovereignty? I think the conversation changes when it becomes about boundaries. When it becomes about, you know, in 2019, got sent to our rooms, and the digital boundary of your work and other things got broken. This is something inherent in humanity, and we've not talked about it enough or learned how to deal with. Or if you look at the state of war today, what is disinformation? What is the protection of that boundary? Oh, well, I have parenting filtering on TikTok. That's not really. So that's my answer. That's how passionate I am about it. And I think a huge part of it is the narrative, is the negative narrative, is the 5,000 acronyms that scare the average school teacher to even, you know, okay, let's bring the weird kid parent to talk about cyber today in the security day. You know, then comes this person. Like, it's just, let's just not do this anymore. We're not going to have people sitting here if we do this.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about what you asked, and I was thinking about whether school children would actually choose cyber as a career, and whether they even know about cyber as a career.
Do your kids know what you do? Or do people in your life know what you do?
My kids kind of think I'm somewhere between a security guard and, you know, something like that. But, so, and I think I actually asked my daughter the other day, she's 11, I asked her, so what do you want to be? And she was like, I don't know. So I asked my son, he's 15, what do you want to be? And he said, maybe go into medicine. And I asked a whole lot of 15-year-olds, he's got a lot of cousins his age, what do you want to be? And they were all, I want to be a nurse, a doctor, you know, all the medical stuff. And I said, have you ever thought, and I'm in cyber, so I'm a cybersecurity professional. My entire career has been in cybersecurity. So you would think, hearing me and seeing me, that they know what cybersecurity is, and they would, you know. And I asked them, does anyone in your class want to go into cybersecurity? And they were, no, not a single person. And I think we're not doing enough at that grassroots level to explain what a career in cyber means. I think a lot of people attach something like doing good for society to something like medicine. But we're doing good for society in the digital era. And I think we're not telling that story enough, because it feels good to be able to give back, but there's different ways to give back. Yeah.
Okay, to conclude this panel, I cannot not cover this subject because of your experiences with UNESCO. I was wondering, do you think AI could bring an answer to manpower shortage in cybersecurity? It's a hard one, I'm sorry.
All the easy
But
questions
it could
there,
be,
Bianca.
like, you could go, like, you know what, like, AI is just starting, so there's
What
ways
are
to
we
be-
talking when we're saying AI?
We can be creative, like, go wild. I'm okay with that.
Is this being recorded? I'm not gonna lose my job at UNESCO.
Okay,
It's pro
just
bono, guys. It's okay.
be okay with saying the things you can, but I'm curious because clearly you have like a vision of and a comprehension of how AI could evolve, and like you're here right now, so clearly you understand cyber and this issue.
Well, I'm curious. I don't understand most of anything, but that's very kind.
That's a good start.
It's very kind. And I think the world's yet to grasp the problems or just the technology. If you talk sort of AI or you're talking really LLM models and where this stuff truly is, like you get to the core of, you asked me if I think AI is going to replace humans or shortage?
Maybe it could be that, but it could be also like ed tech. It could be ways, because to me, I think there's an issue with retention. Like when you start, they request so much from you, and you need to be the hero. Like from day one, you need to be like problem solving everything. So maybe like you don't have something to either like train you, either interact with you, either like challenge you. So there's ways to be creative with AI, and I think like you're the perfect person to ask this kind of question because you understand it clearly better than I do.
So I sit context. What she's referring to is I sit on a UNESCO council. UNESCO is like this thing from UN that looks at the 17 sustainable development goals that we have. Most people think climate when they think of those things, but there's lots of other things like infrastructure, like cybersecurity and security protection. I sit there with an identity hat, the person that cares about humans and identifying things and what is the ethics and the boundaries around that. When I talk to people around AI, the question usually is, again, a narrative of fear. A narrative of, do you think robots are going to replace people? Do you think AI is going to solve, you know, the shortage of people being interested in something that's important? No, I don't. If only us are training LLM models about the importance of cybersecurity, no LLM model or AI is going to solve the cybersecurity problem because maybe nobody's going to understand that it's that big of a problem. You know, and in a world of open technology, you have a different type of crime and security to fight. Your boundaries on even just decentralized storage are just completely different. So when people say, the question maybe should be, you know, if it's hard to attract people, if the job is as demanding as you say it is, isn't the purpose of technology to set us free? Wasn't the purpose of all of this, who said we needed to work every day? 9 to 5, 14 hours a day. Maybe the mundane things are going to be the part that we're going to learn to admit to automate. Maybe that's the role of artificial intelligence. So to me is, yeah, I think there's practical, you know, optimizations of processes. Hiring, recruiting, hopefully changing biases, broadening the scope of talent, lots of things that technology will always fix. To me, the question becomes about, like, what are we trying to do with all this buzzword bingo? Like, what are we doing with all this technology and our talents? Like, maybe that should be the question about what does then a workforce to protect and be the heroes of, you know, a digital future look like?
I think I can see you going on.
Dying.
Yeah.
I'm going. No. I think I couldn't do any better than Bianca's answer, so I'm going to leave it now.
Try
But
it if
we
you
want
want.
to hear about you, Kerissa. Like, go ahead with your answer. I'm gonna dance after.
I was just gonna add. I think that I want to touch on the fear thing because I think we don't do so much because of fear. And as cyber professionals, we have to look at this new technology. We have to adapt this new technology. We have to use it because if we don't, and if we continue to sow the message of fear, we're going to be left behind and it's going to be used anyway. So we have to be at the forefront of this. We have to be the pioneers of it. We have to be on the agenda of how do we use it safely. Because if we're not on that agenda, then the bad guys win. So the good guys have to put their best foot forward.
Je te laisse le mot de la fin.
Unfortunately, we have to end, but I think you were really amazing. Hopefully, it was inspiring for all those people that I've tried to convince to come. You are like inspiration for a young lawyer trying to make her way through a cyber career, and to see like a Vodako Saizo woman that is you are really yourself, and you have like this wild power, and you are clearly like shining, and like superstar clearly rising too. So to me, it was amazing to be here, and I'm really thankful for this, and thankful to you guys, girls.
Mesdames et messieurs, applaudissements pour nos panélistes et notre animatrice Frédérique.